Ben, we get all of our peeped up.
Balance out here. Yeah, come on up. Come on. Yeah. Put left and right. We'll just balance off here side. Some can go this way. Here, let's have you go over
Do
here.
you want to start, or you want me to
Go ahead.
just
Go ahead.
jump right into
Just
this?
jump in. That'd be
Okay.
great.
All right. Do we have a good balance? We have 1, 2, 3 over here, and then I got.
There you go. We'll let finance do the math.
You know what? This is a great honor as I'm looking at our Parks Board, and I think of all of our neighborhoods and all the input that we get throughout the year. And to think that what we're about to present, and many of you may have already seen, is that on September 20th, in front of over 7,000 park and recreation professionals, the city of Des Moines was recognized by the National Recreation and Parks Association as the best of the best among cities with populations 150,001 to 400,000, an award that no city in Iowa has ever won since the league began this award in 1965. The National Gold Medal Award honors public park and recreation agencies and state park systems throughout the United States and Armed Forces recreation programs worldwide that demonstrate excellence in long-range planning, resource management, and innovation approaches to delivering superb park and recreation services with fiscally sound business practices. With 77 parks, 86 miles of recreation trails, 7 cemeteries, and recreation programs offered over 325 nights a year, it's no wonder why Des Moines is consistently ranked as one of the top places to live. This recognition validates what we already know in Des Moines, that when our boards, elected leaders, staff, residents, everybody all works together, we can lead the nation as the best of the best. Let's give our Parks Board a big hand, and I'm going to turn it over to... Huh? Look at this.
It's heavy.
All right. Ben, you want to step up?
Yeah.
This is heavy.
It's really heavy. I'll be brief as you have a few more proclamations. I think the key message there is these things don't happen by one person, one department working together. It's really everybody. As you can see, we have a Friends Board, a Park and Recreation Board here. The entire city council has to make a lot of decisions every year on priorities and where to put those funds, and they still choose to put funds in parks and recreation, so thank you to all you. Scott Sanders, my boss, the city manager behind me, still answers his phone when I call him when I have this next great idea, and it costs him money, so I want to tell Scott thanks. But I was just thinking the other day, we actually might be one of the only departments that not only partner with every city department, somehow, some way, on an annual basis, if not a monthly basis, but we counted over 200 partners from the Des Moines neighbors to you name it, the YMCA, every nonprofit that wants to partner with us, we partner with everybody. We always find a way. And I think that starts with our mayor and his leadership about always taking that little bit of tax increment we have and trying to make it go farther and make sure we can serve as many people as possible in the highest and best ways. So thank you to the mayor and the council, the Park and Recreation Board, the Friends Board, all of our colleagues at City Hall. Thank you all.
Congratulations. Give another huge hand. Ben, I want to give that back to you. You know exactly where that ought to go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next is the chief here. Chief, come on up. Bring as many of your folks as you would like. So I turn it right over to you. You want to make a couple comments? All right. This is in recognition of Fire Prevention Week. Chief?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just really briefly, I'm going to hand off to the fire marshal. We're very excited about yet another Fire Prevention Week, and as a reminder that every day is Fire Prevention Day. This is just the one week that we focus on it. So, Fire Marshal Jonathan Lund.
Thanks, Chief. I'll be brief. We'll have some social media presence in the next week, sharing many of the activities that we have planned. We're partnering with all the libraries to do some story time events. We'll be in some of the parks, and we've got an open house or two with some neighborhood associations. And we'll be in lots of different schools and preschools doing presentations all over. And we're still out installing smoke alarms. So we're trying to prevent fires. And this year's theme is planning your escape. So we encourage everybody to plan their escape out of their house. And I think the mayor's going to talk a little bit about that in the proclamation.
All right. Chief and Fire Marshal and our associates, thank you all for everything that you do. But quickly, our proclamation reads, the City of Des Moines is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city. And whereas home fires cause 2,580 deaths in the United States in 2020, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and the fire departments in the U.S. responded to 356,500 home fires. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern and homes are the locations where people are at the greatest risk from fire. And whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to the danger in the event of a fire in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire, and whereas all staff of the Des Moines Fire Department are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of fires and fire injuries through prevention and education, and whereas the 2022 Fire Prevention Week theme, Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape, effectively serves to remind us it is important to have a home fire escape plan. Now, therefore, I, the Mayor of the City of Des Moines, on behalf of our City Council and the residents of Des Moines, do hereby proclaim the week of October 9th to 15th, 2022 is Fire Prevention Week, and I urge everyone to plan and practice a home fire escape for Fire Prevention Week 2022 and support the many public safety activities and efforts of the Des Moines Fire Department during the Fire Prevention Week of 2022. Thank you guys for everything that you do and keep up the great work. Thank you. All right, we got it. You guys, thank you. Thanks. Thank you. And Chief, I'll get you. Eric Lundy, come on up. Good. You want to make a couple things? All right, we have another proclamation. This is National Code Compliance Month. Eric Lundy is going to give us a couple updates, and then I've got a proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to say thank you to our City Council and Mayor for their leadership in beefing up our enforcement, giving us the tools and the staff that we need to have an effective program. I should mention that these are all professionally competent and trained individuals that you see standing up here, that so they're not just somebody with a high school degree getting hired in to do code enforcement. They are trained through a national accreditation, the American Association of Code Enforcement. We have a local Iowa chapter of code enforcement, and through that, they get their training, their certifications, and they also get their competencies renew. So we can always keep our staff fresh and stay up with the current code situation. So thank you.
Good. So our proclamation reads, Code enforcement provides for the safety and welfare of residents throughout the United States through the enforcement of local codes or ordinances facing various issues of building, zoning, housing, animal control, environmental health, and life safety. And whereas code enforcement staff frequently have a challenging and demanding role and often do not receive recognition for the job that they do in improving the living and working conditions for residents and businesses of local communities. And whereas code enforcement staff are dedicated and highly qualified professionals who share the goals of preventing neighborhood deterioration, enhancing and ensuring safety, and preserving property values through knowledge and application of housing, zoning, and nuisance codes and ordinances. And whereas code enforcement staff are called upon to provide quality customer service and excellence to the residents and businesses of the communities in which they serve. And whereas the City of Des Moines recognizes the work of code enforcement staff and supports their contributions to the City of Des Moines and all of our residences and businesses, I will say. Now, therefore, I, the Mayor of the City of Des Moines, on behalf of our City Council and all of our residents of Des Moines, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2022 is National Code Compliance Month in the City of Des Moines, and call upon everyone to join in recognizing and expressing their appreciation for the dedication and service of the individuals who serve as code enforcement staff. Eric, thank you. Let's give him a big hand. All right. Thank you. Tyler Coe. Is Tyler here? Here you are. You're Hector? You're going to take Tyler's place? Okay, Hector. Folks, we've got a special proclamation, which I'm going to read in a minute, but I'm going to turn it over to Hector for a minute. This is National Coming Out Day that we have celebrated and talked about for a number of years now, and thank you for coming down and giving us sort of kickoff.
Hello, my name is Hector. I'm actually a new member of the LGBTQ plus Advisory Council. Thursday, October 13th, we will be celebrating Coming Out Day with an event out at the Sculpture Park at 5 p.m. Everybody's invited. There will be socializing, music, and a chance for people to come out if they would like. That's Thursday, October 13th.
All right. You give him a new one. This is. So I just want to make a presentation. We don't want anybody showing up on the wrong day. We want you all there to support this on the right day. So our proclamation reads as follows: National Coming Out Day, begun in 1988, is an annual internationally observed celebration of those lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, LGBTQ people who have had the courage to be proud of who they are and to fight for equal rights. And whereas Des Moines is committed to being inclusive and championing and enjoying the vibrancy of its diversity and inclusion, and whereas equality for all residents of the City of Des Moines, including those who are LGBTQ plus, is intrinsic to the values we most cherish. And whereas the City of Des Moines encourages all residents to be their full selves and embrace all that they are. And whereas the City of Des Moines joins the international community in celebrating National Coming Out Day, now therefore I, the Mayor of the City of Des Moines, on behalf of our City Council and our residents of Des Moines, do hereby proclaim October 13th, right? 2022 is National Coming Out Day, and I encourage everyone to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and to continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, compassionate, and equitable for all. Thank you, guys. Got it? Thank you. All right. And we're going to get started with our council meeting. All right, it's 5 o'clock, and let's call our meeting to order, and I'll ask the clerk to please take roll.
County,
Here.
Bozen,
Here.
Voss. Here. Shoemaker.
Here.
Westergaard. Here. Mandelbaum. Here. Gatto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Item 2 is approving the agenda as presented and/or as amended.
Move.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, item passes. Item 3 is approving the consent agenda tonight. Those are items 3 through 50. And folks, these are routine items and will be enacted by one roll call vote without separate discussion unless pursuant to the council rules, the council requests or a council member an item to be removed to be considered separately. This evening, item 34, Councilmember Westergaard wishes to speak. Item 39, Councilmember Shoemaker votes no. Item 40, Councilmember Shoemaker votes no. Item 41, Councilmember Shoemaker passes. And item 42, Councilmember Shoemaker votes no. With that,
Move approval.
I'll second.
all right.
Seven yes.
All right, that'll take us to the hearing items. All right, quickly I'll go over the rules, which we do before our hearings. For the hearings this evening, we have 5 zoning items tonight, items 59 through 64. We also have 4 vacation hearings, 4 conveyance hearings, a lease purchase, and a HUD hearing, and a public improvement hearing this evening. As a reminder, for those zoning items only, which are, again, 59 through 64, we'll hear from the parties in interest first, if they wish to speak, and then the general public. The parties in interest are either the applicant or somebody who lives within 250 feet of the property to be rezoned to whom the city has sent a notice. After all the parties in interest have commented, we will open up to any member of the public for germane comments. To aid in recognizing the parties in interest who may speak on the zoning items, we'll ask everyone else not to step to the microphone or step up unless they are a zoning applicant or, again, they live within that 250 feet and receive that notice. Anyone who approaches the mic before their time will be compared to that list and will be considered disruptive and will not, if they approach it out of order, and will not be recognized for the remainder of the meeting. Again, I call for the general public for the zoning items. After all those parties in interest, and for the remainder of the meeting, and will be required if anybody gets out of that order to not participate and to leave the building. After all the parties in interest are called upon, the general public then can speak for germane comments not to exceed 1 minute per person to a maximum of 7 minutes unless the hearing is ended sooner for either the failure or no one wants to comment. For other hearings this evening, any interested person may make germane comments at not to exceed 1 minute per person to a maximum of 5 minutes per hearing item unless the hearing is ended sooner. As a reminder, on the public improvement hearings, only comments as to the plans, the specifications, form of documents, and the engineer's estimate and the low bidder designation will be considered germane, and all other comments will be considered non-germane. So with that, let's quickly jump into our first hearing item, which is item 51, which is on the vacation of East Jefferson Avenue right-of-way adjoining 1626 Dixon Street, 1730 East Washington Avenue, and 1637 East 17th Street, and conveyance of a portion of said vacated street right-of-way to Liberty Holdings, Inc. for $13,725, and to continue this hearing to November 7th of 2022 council meeting. We'll quickly open it up and see if anybody has any comments they want to make about the continuance of this hearing. Seeing none, could we get a motion?
I'll move to continue to the November 7th meeting.
Been moved and seconded. Ask everybody to vote.
7 yes.
Item 52 is on the vacation of an east-west alley right-of-way located west of 29th Street between Brattleboro Avenue and University Avenue and a conveyance to Drake University for $29,170. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by Drake University and requires 6 votes. Again, let's open it up and ask if there's any general public germane comments to this item. Would you like to comment? Step up the mic.
Ryan Arnold from Drake University. Thank you all for your previous support of this project. This conveyance and vacation is in support of the Broadlawns Community Clinic at Drake. It's our partnership with Broadlawns, bringing primary medical care to the University Avenue corridor and co-locating our student health services within it. It goes to fulfill our inspiration that together we transform lives and strengthen communities, and it starts right there in our neighborhood. So thank you for your consideration this evening.
Thank you, Ryan. Anyone else? Seeing none, could we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move item 52, 52A and 52B.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Ask everyone to vote.
7 yes.
Item 53 is on a vacation of an east-west alley right-of-way located south of and adjoining 915 28th Street and a conveyance to Nunn YA LLC for $75. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above. Again, we'll open it up for germane comments from the general public. If anyone would like to speak. Seeing none.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move item 53, 53A, and pursuant to Rule 42A, move to waive the second and third reading.
Second.
Seven yes.
Item 54 is on a vacation of a street and alley right-of-way located between Southeast 14th Street and Southeast 18th Street, south of East Court Avenue and north of Iowa Interstate Railroad, and a conveyance to Roll-Offs of Des Moines, Inc. for $161,800. Council Communication Number 22-460. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by Tony Holt and requires 6 votes. Again, we'll open it up for the general public. Germane comments up to 1 minute, 5 minutes max. Does anyone want to speak about the vacation around Roll-Offs of Des Moines, Inc.?
I see none, Mr. Mayor. I'll move 54A and B.
A second.
7 yes.
All right, 55 is on a conveyance of a permanent easement for a building encroachment in vacated Urbandale Avenue right-of-way located south of and adjoining 4041 Urbandale Avenue to Marigny LLC for $2,055. Again, we'll ask for germane comments for the general public, up to 1 minute per person, max 5. Again, for this 4041 Urbandale Avenue.
Seeing none, I'll move item 55.
A second.
And 55 is moved and seconded.
7 yes.
Item 56 is on the conveyance of a permanent easement for sanitary sewer facilities and a temporary easement for construction and construction-related activities in the city property located north of and adjoining One Line Drive to Des Moines Metropolitan Wastewater Reclamation Authority. Again, germane comments from the general public regarding this, up to 1 minute per person, and around One Line Drive, which is down by the ballpark. Anyone?
Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'll move item 56.
Second.
Item 56 moved and seconded.
7 yes.
Item 57 on the conveyance of easements for underground electric lines in portions of Greenwood Park to Mid-American Energy Company for $17,505. Again, we'll open it up for germane comments from the general public. Again, 1 minute per person and with a maximum of 5 minutes. Anyone want to speak about the electric line easements around Greenwood Park?
Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'll move item 57.
A second.
Item 57 has been moved and seconded.
7 yes.
Item 58 on the conveyance of a portion of city-owned property locally known as geoparcel number 7924-28-405-004 to Des Moines Independent Community School District. Again, germane comments from the general public, 1 minute per person, 5 minutes maximum. Anyone want to speak about the conveyance to the school district?
Seeing none, I'll move item 58. I'll second.
Seven yes.
Item 59 on a request from Cole Lopez and Leah Gria, the owners for property located at 2800 Brattleboro Avenue, to rezone the property from N5 Neighborhood District to N5-2 Neighborhood District to allow the reuse of existing structure for a duplex use. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and again, parties in interest will be asked to speak first. Those, as we said before, within 250 feet or the applicant themselves, and they'll be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Is the applicant in the house? Do not see them. Anyone living within that 250 feet that received notice? Seeing none, let's open it up to the germane comments from the general public. Anyone want to speak about 2800 Brattleboro?
Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'll move item 59, 59A, and pursuant to Rule 42A, move to waive the second and third reading.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded.
7 yes.
Item 60. It's on a request from 4021 Properties LLC. Jenny Smith is the officer for property located at 4019 and 4021 Ingersoll Avenue to rezone the property from RX2 Mixed Use District to a limited RX2 Mixed Use District to allow a two-story building addition for expansion of an office use. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above. B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by Jenny Smith and requires 6 votes. First, we'll ask, is Jenny in the audience? Does she want to speak? Is there anyone who is a party in interest and has lived within that 250 and received notice? Anyone? Anyone from the general public? Again, germane comments regarding this property at 4019 and 4021 Ingersoll.
Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'll move items 60, 60A, and 60B.
I'll second.
60 A and B have been moved.
7 yes.
61 is on a request from Geneva Shoemaker, owner for the property located at 4970 Southeast 24th Court, to amend Plan DSM, creating our tomorrow plan to revise the future land use classification from low-density residential to public, semi-public, and to rezone the property from N2B Neighborhood District to limited P2 Public, Civic, and Institutional District to allow the parceling off of 2 existing cell towers from the residential property. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by Matt Morrow and requires 6 votes. First, let's hear from parties in interest. Is the applicant here? Is there anyone who's got notice within that 250 feet who would like to make comment here?
I see none, Your Honor. I'll move 61A and B.
All right, it's been moved. It's been seconded. Are there any germane comments from the general public? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded. I'll ask everyone to vote.
7 yes.
Item 62 is on a request from 1348 East Euclid Avenue, LLC is the owner for a property located in the vicinity of 1331 East Douglas Avenue to amend Plan DSM, creating our tomorrow plan to revise the future land use classification from low-density residential to community mixed use and to rezone the property from N3A Neighborhood District to Limited RX2 Mixed Use District to allow the use of the property in common with the property immediately to the south, which would be converted from a motel use to a multiple household use. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above. And let's ask first if there's any parties in interest, either the applicant or those living within 250 feet who would like to speak on this. Ask you to step the microphone, please.
I hope this gentleman has a document that we need.
I do not.
Who?
I'm Bob Gibson with Civil Design Advantage, representing the applicant. I got a call right as I was walking out the door from Nate, who got a call from Brad about something that was missing. What do you need?
Right. Laura needs the letter, the signed letter from the applicant agreeing to the rezoning of the property. Correct, Laura?
The acceptance of rezoning document is what we're looking.
And if we don't have it, then we have to.
We'll have to continue to the next
Okay.
meeting.
Well, I guess it'll have to continue, so.
Who has that document, though? Where did it
Well,
come?
Would it likely have been sent to me, and I would have forwarded it on to Brad?
I don't know.
I can track it down, so, and we'll just continue it till next time.
I called the applicant as soon as I found out, but.
Okay.
All right.
So-
I think we need a motion
So
then.
I would move to continue this item to the next regular council meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, and is that every 2 weeks you guys meet, or every week?
24.
24.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Seven yes.
All right, takes to item 63. Item 63 is on a request from Zachary Finch and Cheryl Finch, who are the owners for property located at 3125 Kingman Boulevard, to amend Plan DSM, creating our tomorrow plan to revise the future land use classification from low-density residential to medium-density residential and to rezone the property from N5-4 Neighborhood District to NX2 Neighborhood Mixed District to allow the use of the property for a multi-household use of up to 8 dwelling units where the existing structure has lost its previous non-conforming rights. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends denial and choose one of the options below. A is to deny, or B, continue the hearing to October 24th and direct the city manager and the legal department to prepare the necessary legislation to approve the proposed Plan DSN comprehensive future land use plan amendment from low-density residential to medium-density residential and approve the proposed rezoning from N5-4 Neighborhood District to NX2 Neighborhood Mixed District, subject to conditions acceptable to the city and the owners. I guess we'll open it up and see first, are there any parties in interest here? Either the applicant or anyone within that 250 feet that got notice. All right. Anyone from the general public with germane comments regarding this rezoning application? Step forward.
Hello, my name is Carol Maher. I live in Ward 3, zip code 50312. I am in favor of keeping the density level at this site, but I attended the Plan and Zoning Commission meeting regarding this item, and it appears that the new owners are not responsive at all to the neighbors regarding their concern, and didn't demonstrate any sort of willingness to address the issues that the neighbors have raised over the years associated with this property. But I'd hate to lose the density. So, thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none. Council, any thoughts?
I have a question for Mike, if that's all right. I wanted to know if we deny this rezoning, does that stick with the property for a year, or does that stick with the property owner for a year? And I did get clarification that if there was a new request that had more information, that it would they would be able to reapply for the same zoning. Is that correct?
Mayor, County, and members of the council, Michael Ludwig, Deputy Director of Development Services. Basically, it requires a substantial change in the application to resubmit within a year. So potentially an ownership differential could be substantial depending on what they put in their application for any proposed conditions on the operation of the property. It wouldn't just be limited by, okay, nobody could ask for 8 units on the property, because somebody might come in and propose to tear down a building and build a new building with 8 units. So to speculate on what a new application might contain, again, it's pure speculation at this point, but certainly it would have to be a substantive change in the application to resubmit within a year.
So the denial sticks with the property?
It does for a year by this applicant, okay, and as requested.
Okay, but there is opportunity to reapply within the year with a substantive change. We just don't know what that would be.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
I don't have questions. I'll make a couple comments. I plan to move to deny in this case. I do think more density than the four units that are available by right is appropriate at this site. I think staff had identified potentially a 6-unit use that never got to that discussion at Planning and Zoning, in part because the new property owner was so unresponsive to the neighborhood and the neighbors. I think density can work in this site if you have a property owner that is responsive to the neighborhood and neighbor concerns, and in that case, I think density would be appropriate. So I will move 63A to deny, but I'm open to revisiting this in the future, hopefully with an owner who can fix up this property and provide quality housing at this site.
I would second both the comments of Councilmember Mandelbaum and the motion, if that's all right. I agree. If I was willing to continue this, if the applicant was here to answer questions, but since we don't have any more information about if the units would be decent, safe, and sanitary, then I have to go and deny.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
7 yes to deny.
Item 64 is on a request from HRNFS 1 LLC. Casey Port is the officer for review and approval of a PUD final development plan, Grays Station Link parking lot reconfiguration, site improvements for properties located at 210 Southwest 11th Street and 310 Southwest 11th Street to allow the additions to and reconfigurations of the site's bicycle and motor vehicle parking areas. Again, we'll open it up for germane comments from the general public. Anyone want to speak on this one?
Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'll move item 64.
Second.
Item 64 has been moved and seconded.
7 yes.
Item 65 is on the proposition to authorize a lease purchase agreement in the principal amount not to exceed $50,000 for the purpose of acquiring certain items of equipment consisting of 2 electric vehicles. Council Communication number 22-443. Again, we'll open it up for general comments from the general public. We have someone wishing to speak. Up to 1 minute per person, 5 minutes maximum.
Hello, my name is Adam Callanan. I use he, him pronouns, and I live in Ward 3. I wanted to comment on the purchase of these 2 vehicles. It specifies in the documents that one is for the city manager and one is for Fleet Services Motor Pool. I'm not sure if Fleet Services Motor Pool means something that I don't understand, but I know that similarly on July 18th, item number 59 that day, there was a similar hearing about purchase of vehicles that it wasn't disclosed in the agenda, even though it was a hearing with public notice, that those are actually DMPD vehicles. So I was wondering, in this case, this second vehicle that is being purchased here, what is the intent of that vehicle? Is that for DMPD or is it for a different use?
So I asked the same question to staff and got the answer that the first one is for facilities use. The second one would be in a pool of vehicles that Fleet owns that is available for city employees to check out, and us getting an electric vehicle in that realm as well allows them to try out an electric vehicle. And so specifically for the first time, I think, since I've been on council, an electric vehicle purchase has not included the police.
All right, anyone else?
Item 65, Your Honor.
Been moved
I'll second.
and seconded.
Excited to be able to vote for this one.
7 yes.
Item 66 on the status of funded activities, SOFA, under the second round of the Community Development Block Grant funding to prepare, prevent, and respond to the coronavirus CDBG CV2 from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, has passed through the Iowa Economic Development Authority. Council Communication number 22-456. General germane comments from the general public. Anyone want to speak on this one?
See no one, I'll move item 66.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
7 yes.
Item 67, on the Fifth Amendment to lease agreement with DBH Iowa LLC for the lease of Principal Park. Council Communication number 22-441. And A is approving the lot tie covenant for 5 parcels of Principal Park. Let's ask if there's any germane comments from the general public regarding the DBH Iowa LLC. I see a young man here that may know something about that group.
Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, I'm Sam Burnaby. I'm the president and general manager of the Iowa Cubs. I want to just thank you all for your great partnership. Certainly the lease and the extension of the lease is quite a deal for us. The Fifth Amendment reflects, I think, extensions since 1992 when this particular lease originated. And I just, again, can't emphasize how grateful we are for the partnership that we have with the city of Des Moines. Again, it started in 92. I started in the ball club in 1983. And it hasn't been any different between the city of Des Moines and the Iowa Cubs since then. So thank you. I'd entertain or answer any questions you may have.
Anyone? Sam, thank you. Okay. Anyone else from the general public?
Hearing none, I'd move 67 67A. Do we need to waive additional? Nothing.
I'll second it.
Seven, yes.
Item 68 is on the Principal Park Phase 1 improvements, resolution approving the plan specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, receive and file the bids, and designating the lowest responsible bidder as Ball Team LLC. Richard Ball is the managing member. $7,995,000. Council Communication number 22-448 A is the approval of the contract and bond and permission to sublet. And let's open it up to the general public to comment on the plan specifications, form of documents, engineer's estimate, and the lowest bid designation. If anyone has any comments on those. And we'll allow 1 minute per person to speak, and we'll start with you.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Felicia Hilton. I'm the Political Director for the North Central States Regional Council of Carpenters, Local 106, zip code 50313. I'm here to speak to the lowest responsible bidder and the development of the Principal Park. And our biggest concern is, which we've expressed to a number of City Council members, isn't the fact that it's Ball Team as the GC or any of the GCs. It's really the second tier subcontractors that sub out work to third and fourth tier contractors that are labor brokers. And the workers that we believe are working under public funds should be covered by work comp, should have unemployment insurance paid, should have all taxes paid on their payroll, state, federal taxes, if it's taxpayer dollars. Our biggest concern is workers and people working without work comp on public projects. That's our biggest issue, our biggest concern, and we'd like for you guys to really pay attention to the second tier subcontractors. Thank you.
All right, anyone else to speak? Council, any thoughts?
My thoughts are, as I agree with Felicia, I think it's very important that second tier subcontractors, they're subbing them out to labor brokers. And what can we do to make sure that everybody who works on a job that is using taxpayer dollars has those benefits? And I think there's somebody here that wants to speak to me.
I think Mr. Ball's here to speak.
Man.
My name is Rick Ball. I'm the managing partner for Ball Team LLC. Very quickly to address council, staff, etc. This will be the fifth project between my father and my current company to work at Principal Park back to 1992. We have worked for the city, the state, the county at all levels. We have bid documents that were prepared for this project that are clear and explained. Each one of the bidders has received and acknowledged those. There will be a contract that goes not only from the city to us, but from us to each one of the responsive bidders. So as explained, there are very clear federal, state, and local employment labor laws. So anyone that does not comply with those will be removed from the project. So unless someone has specifics about a certain company or situation, right now it's speculation. So I just ask that you guys approve the contract, allow us to do our job as we have done on multiple occasions, and continue to improve this asset to our community. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, while you're up here, Mr. Ball.
Sure.
You asked about specifics, and we were given a specific about Wolf Construction.
Sure.
And then they would sub it out to another company that I believe wasn't following the guidelines. And I don't know what project that was under, but you did ask about specifics. So
Sure.
We just want to make sure that.
As you already know, in the list of subcontractors provided on the project by us, Wolf Construction is the low responsive bidder, providing installation of trim work, which is a very minimal part of the overall project. Once again, they have the same compliance. If we determine, or the city determines that they are not in compliance, they will be removed, just as anybody else is on that list.
So you'll be able to verify any payroll that we would
To
ask
the
for.
extent of what my contract allows me to do, yes.
Okay.
But anyone that has a specific complaint against a subcontractor of anyone in this community can reach out and reach out to the Department of Labor and make those said claims.
Thank
So,
you. Appreciate it.
all right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Any motions?
My only comment is that I know that we ran into the same situation on a WRA project, and when the engineer operators went and asked for information, they were not given the information. They said the only way we can get it is if you do a Freedom of Information Act request. And that, I mean, by the time that's done, I just don't know how we can ensure that they're not using labor brokers that are not paying paying workers' comp and fair wages. That's what I'm trying to get at, and I don't know how else we can do that. Any ideas?
I think we're following everything that we
Okay.
possibly can do at right now. I mean, Mr. Ball came up here and spoke. He's on record saying that that's not going to happen. I guess I'm sure that we will keep an eye on it and be able to verify any payroll that we need. Or, like he said, we can turn them in the Department of Labor.
It sounds exactly like what he told me over coffee this afternoon. So
Are we able to verify payroll? I thought that was one of the things we couldn't do.
We can ask.
we can ask.
We can ask, but they're not required to give it.
We can't require. We can ask, but we can't
Yes,
require. Is that it?
I think for the WRA that was required, legal gave it to me.
Depends on whether you can require it, depends on whether it's a federal project or not.
Right, and this, okay. So I don't.
Okay, do we have?
Move it.
I'll move 68A.
Second.
All right. Ask everybody to vote. It's been moved and seconded.
I just want to repeat comments from the audience that it's the practice of using labor brokers that is the issue that was brought up that facilitated the response from Mr. Ball. The practice of using labor brokers is the complication that we're trying to avoid here.
Yeah, I think we're all aware. Even Mr. Ball's aware.
Just wanted to repeat the comment.
Yep.
7 yes.
All right, let's note it's 5:38, and that is our last hearing item. It takes us back to item 34. Item 30.
Just one quick comment about that. I think they're going to start on next Monday, October 10th on, so
Yeah, because
they're ready to roll
Yeah.
with this approval, so.
Okay. Item 34. This item was asked to be pulled by Councilmember Westergaard. It's the 2022 Continuum of Care COC Program Supplemental Special Unsheltered Notice of Funding Opportunity, NOFO, grant application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, Council Communication number 22-451. Councilmember Westergaard.
Thank you. I just wanted to make comments. I wanted to vote no on this. And I just ask, as I asked at our previous meeting, that in the future, when we're voting on these nonprofits to receive funds, that we be able to separate them out so we can vote on them separately. I have one particular nonprofit on here, and I mentioned it last time, that I continue to get calls from residents who live in their properties and with the conditions of the property. I did communicate with the director of the nonprofit today. He sent me a long, lengthy email, and we can have further discussions with him. I can have further discussions, but I did contact the residents who live there today, and they said they are still experiencing the issues that they had a year ago, and that now there's no manager. There was a manager at the family building, and the manager of the family building, it's my understanding, managed the senior apartment. Now I'm being told that that person is gone and there's no management there. So for that reason, I have to vote no. It's not because I don't approve all of the others. I just would like that particular nonprofit to step up and take care of some of the issues from the residents. So I'll let someone else make the motion.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I think we have staff from Homeward here. I think Councilmember Westergaard has made a specific request that I think might jeopardize the funding for all of the entire package of the program, and I think it would be helpful for us to have a little context there.
Thank you. My name is Angie Arthur. I'm Executive Director of Homeward. We're the regional planning organization for Polk County's homeless system, and also the COC lead, or Continuum of Care lead, as designated. That role is designated by HUD. And to just share a little bit about the process that we have in place when we receive a notice of funding opportunity from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it's something that requires us to put together an objective criteria and process to run a competition within the process. So for this unsheltered NOFO, our Notice of Funding Opportunity, apologies for the acronym, it's $4.3 million, almost $4.4 million that would be available to us. And HUD has certain guidelines and requirements that put out that we have to put together that objective criteria, where we have threshold score sheets that are required, that we have to put together prioritizations of projects. And with that, we have to score and rank based on those criteria. There's a scoring matrix that's determined for each type of application and category. There's a specific amount of points. There's information specific to required thresholds, project descriptions, supportive services, project administration, project evaluation, program participants, budget cost policies, or cost effectiveness. We ask for copies of policies regarding admittance, termination, appeals, provisions for educational related services policies. So it's a very detailed process that's administered by a grant committee that reviews and ranks these and then moves these to the board, or Homeward board, to vote on and approve. Within that application, there's also a community application where additional funding or any funding at all is determined based on that application. We also have to demonstrate how we have followed the process that we prescribed, as well as providing that documentation of examples of score sheets, a completed score sheet, again with copies of the applications and things along that process. So to be able to define or not follow that process does put in jeopardy the overall process and applications that we go through on a regular basis. This is a consistent practice that HUD has. So on the regular continuum of care application that you voted on last time, the expectation and the application of the process would also be the same, that we would need to make sure we follow that. If not, we'd be jeopardizing the overall score for our community, as well as the overall process and application of funds that we receive into the community. So in general, last meeting's application was about $4.6 million that comes annually into our community. And then this application would be additional $4.3 million that would come in over a 3-year basis, as opposed to the annual basis of last year. But just wanted to provide a little basic background and information of what we do. You are able to see copies of the application that we submit. We post them on our website, and we're targeting to post this when the initial draft is next week. We'll be posting the copy of the application that will be submitted. I'm happy to answer any questions, but wanted to just provide some context to the process of what we do, what we go through. It's very transparent within the community. It's voted on by our board and then processed and moved through as prescribed by HUD to the City Council here to vote on submitting the actual application as you are collaborative effort.
Thank you, Angie, and I think you're doing a great job. I am very thankful that we have this. I will continue to vote no until that certain nonprofit steps up and makes some changes. And I brought my whole stack of photos tonight that I went over and personally took at the complex. And I have residents who tell me they're elderly. I had one woman tell me today, I am so afraid because I have no place else to go, but the conditions are bad here. I don't know what else I can do but to vote no until we get some action from that particular nonprofit. I mean, I owe it to the residents. It's, $4 million of taxpayer dollars. So
Well,
I understand it. But
we don't want to lose that, is the point, because there's a lot of people that need it, and this supports them.
Absolutely.
So I will turn to our manager and say, I'm assuming that city staff and inspectors need to follow through and maybe take a look at those photos that you have, and let's see if we can't get our arms around whatever situation is existing there, and let's get it corrected. And let's move this thing forward. Mr. Manager, I'll let you.
Yes, Mayor, that would be fair. This needs to be handled through our rental division.
That's fine.
And so we'll absolutely pursue that.
I'll move item, being that said, and you're going to work with, I think we all know which nonprofit, you're going to work with them to figure out where we're at, what services they're actually providing to them, what they're responsible for, and who's dropping the ball here. I guess that's the most important thing, because we want to make sure that we don't lose this funding, and we also want to make sure that our residents are being taken care of by whatever nonprofit that's involved with this funding, okay?
Yes, and understand there's two sides to that. The services being provided would be a different division that helps in these grant applications. The condition of the units is where the rental certificates come into play.
And we inspect this property, correct?
Yes.
I'll move item 34.
Before we finish, I think there are folks from the nonprofit who are here, and they're an important partner. I don't know if they want to get up and speak, but I feel like if they want that opportunity, I think we should give them that opportunity. If we want to.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Russ Frazier, Anawim Housing, 1750 48th Street in Des Moines. We are happy to be a part of the continuum of care application. This unsheltered NOFO will provide an amazing opportunity for this community to address unsheltered needs that are prevalent and continue to be prevalent. We've been a proud recipient of other funds from the continuum of care over the past 25 years, where we've had the opportunity to serve hundreds of households every year through those funding sources. Those funds come at a great responsibility from our part, not just from the administration of those funds, but also through a match process, of which we're required to come up with 25%. This past year, that was a $700,000 raise on our part, privately, through cash and in-kind contributions in order to achieve and make sure those dollars stay in our community. If we're successful with this application, that number will go up to about $1.5 million. So we're happy to be dedicated and committed to that. The specific location in question of Mrs. Westergaard's comment, I would be happy to continue those conversations. And in fact, I would go so far as to work with not only the city manager, but the clerk, but to invite the entire council out to potentially host you for a council study session some Monday morning on site with proper public notice, or at a minimum, at an open house at the property, of which you all would be invited. We are welcome of that. I think you'll find that our inspection record there has been very good. In fact, a special surprise inspection that was requested by Mrs. Westergaard last year resulted in 0 findings by the inspector. So we stand on our record, our reputation. We are in a position where we work with our community's most vulnerable population. We meet them where they're at and try to provide the level of services that are appropriate to them. We take our job very seriously and will continue to do so. So we appreciate the continuing partnership that we have with Homeward and the City of Des Moines, and we look forward to these funds coming back to our community.
And Russ, thank you. I do appreciate that, and I was told today that there have been improvements made. But I also do have pictures that I presented to you last year that show that the lawn had not been mowed, that we have lights that have been out since 2018 that have now been fixed, but it took from 2018 to 2021 to get the lights fixed.
Well, Mr.
And you
Westergaard,
acknowledged that.
if the council, the full council wishes for me to run down the list of things that have been, that we addressed on that day in June of 21.
No, I'm
happy
glad
to
that
do
they've been
but-
addressed. Yeah, no, I think enough's been said. I appreciate it.
I will say, thank you. I will say that comments that have been made have put this provider in a situation where they have to consistently defend themselves, clarify comments, give context. I think we need to acknowledge that a housing first project like this is extremely necessary and comes with complications, but that they are doing their best to be taking care of those things. And so I think we need to be careful about what we say when we are making claims, because once it's been said, especially in a public forum such as this, we have that responsibility to be saying things that are accurate. And multiple comments have been made that have had to be clarified. And so that's the comment that I wanted to make about that.
Well, Councilwoman, I appreciate that, but I think pictures tell the story. And I met with the residents. They called me. All I can go by is the pictures that they have provided me, the pictures that I walked through the building myself and took. So I'm not trying to make unfounded accusations. I'm just trying to see that residents who live in Ward 2 have a safe, healthy place to live. That's all I want. And I appreciate, but I do have pictures. You're welcome to them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
All right, do we have a motion?
I moved it.
I think I seconded it.
All right, been moved and seconded.
Okay. Yeah, I voted. Just leave it. Yes, that's fine.
Okay. 7 yes.
All right, that brings us back.
It's not much, Linda.
You don't know what you're talking about.
It's not much, hon.
You don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
I'd love
so
to.
That brings us to item 68I. Item 68I is a request from council member to be considered by the full council for inclusion at the next council workshop or other disposition as directed by the council.
Mr. Mayor, real quick about this item. This is not in our purview. This shouldn't even be on our agenda. This is contrary to any state or federal law that we have. So I will make a motion immediately to deny any consideration for a workshop, any consideration for any type of resolution. This is not our purview. This is a political stunt being done by one council member sitting at this table. This has there's nothing we can do. The fight is a federal and a state, and it's right up there at the Capitol. It's not right here at City Hall. This has nothing to do with providing basic services, which is our job at the city to do that.
Okay, I hear a motion.
I'll second it for the fact that I don't believe it's in our purview also, but that's where I'll stop.
I'd like to have more discussion if that's all
Well,
right.
Well, yeah, we can.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, since I drafted the resolution, and I do want to address some of these issues, because I disagree with Councilmember Gatto's characterization, and I want to specifically walk through the pieces that are in this resolution, and talk about the role that we have and what we need to do for our residents. So as folks know, the Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs versus Jackson.
Well, but now you're discussing it, which is what we're not supposed to be doing, which
I've
is
made
what
a
the motion is on the table.
The
Now,
motion
if
is
you
to
could
vote.
highlight it rather than go through every last step of it, I'll let you do that.
Mr. Mayor, you also didn't allow time for
Hold
discussion
on.
before the motion.
Excuse me, I'm talking to Mr.
Yeah, I understand.
I understand.
Metalbaum.
Okay, let me address just the purview of this council, because this addresses issues that our residents care about. It addresses issues that directly impact our residents. It addresses issues that impact our businesses, our hospitals, our ability to recruit and attract talent. It impacts every aspect of our community. The pieces in this resolution go to things that we can specifically address. Since I have been on this council, we have taken positions on state and federal issues from time to time when they are of significant importance. For example, we had a marijuana task force that looked at state and federal law, and we took positions. We started registering on bills up at the Capitol related to legalization and decriminalization of marijuana, which is not in our purview, but which directly affects our residents. We did the same thing, or a similar thing, after the shooting in Uvalde. We wrote a letter that was signed by, I believe, a number of these council members, as well as colleagues around the metro from other councils, for you to deliver to our senators in the midst of an important gun safety debate. We did that because we know these issues impact our residents, and that we are here to be their voice and to help address them.
Okay, would you get to the subject at hand?
Yeah.
I've been there for every one of those, so you don't need to keep going over those. What are you
Were you
talking
there
about now?
to deliver the letter?
Please.
The items,
Why are we voting?
the items that are included in this address specific things that we can do as a council. It addresses employee benefits if access to health care and reproductive care changes. It addresses how we use our city resources to enforce state law if that changes. And it specifically it acknowledges state and federal law and that we have to follow state and federal law if required. But it would specifically make any enforcement related to abortion the lowest enforcement priority. And the third piece is it addresses discrimination and includes non-discrimination language that we have in our code, and that is something that other cities around this country have already done. So there are multiple pieces that we can act on, that we should look to act on. I identified specific things that are within our purview within this issue, knowing it's part of a broader discussion, but this resolution focuses specifically on the things we can do and we should do.
Everything
All
that
right.
you want to specifically
Indira?
said is contrary to
Excuse me,
state.
we got Indira.
I'm not going to repeat the points that Councilmember Mandelbaum said. However, this is in our purview. It 100% is. Every single piece of it is. And it is not a political stunt to be able to try to protect our residents. However, it is a political statement to deny this. And every single one of you here are taking a stance when you vote on this today.
This has nothing to do with that.
All
There's
right,
a
now, wait a
motion
minute.
on the table.
And
Let us finish
the
her
mayor didn't allow us discussion before a motion was made, and that's why we're discussing it now. Every single one of you are stating your opinion right now on whether you think this is something important for us to protect or not.
It's nothing to
Okay.
do with that.
All right?
Let's vote.
We've got a
Connie would like to
motion
speak.
and a second.
If we're
My motion's to deny.
And Connie would like to speak.
And the second is to deny.
Yep.
As I said, I second it because this is not a statement against, I believe in women's rights, I believe we have a choice, I believe all of that. I don't believe these things are what we in the city should be doing and can do. I will work tirelessly to get candidates in place and work at the legislature just as the other items that we talked about. We did letters, we talked about it, we lobbied. Those are the things I think we should be doing, other than a resolution that we have that I don't believe will stand up.
Part of that resolution includes taking a stance on these issues, and that's why I think we should be able to discuss
We don't need a
it.
resolution to take a stand.
And that's why I think we should be able to discuss it, because if there are parts of this that you do approve and parts of this that you don't, then we should be putting it on a work agenda to discuss it.
There's a vote on the table. Vote no if you don't like it.
Okay.
That's the end of it. Period. Well, you've had your discussion. You've had your.
I was talking to Connie.
You've
All right,
had the
that's enough.
3 minutes
That's enough.
of,
Let's
of
vote. We've got
airtime.
it
And that's all this is
on the
about.
table.
We can't do anything.
You don't want to do anything.
So
We can't do anything.
I want to make one statement here, and I'm going to vote, but I want everybody to know that I understand this is an intimate and personal issue. There's some of us that are sitting up here who've been working on this for 35, 40 years, and I understand it. And I strongly support the rights of all residents to keep their health care matters and private and to make their own decisions regarding their health care. However, I want to reiterate, this isn't a city issue. It is at the purview of the state and federal government. As elected officials for the city of Des Moines, it is our duty to protect and improve the health and well-being of our residents with the tools and processes afforded to us. And you have my assurance that we're going to continue to do that. This is not one, and I'm voting yes.
So we have your assurance, but not your vote. Who here hoped to speak on this today?
Nobody gets to speak.
No, that's what I'm asking. Who here hoped
Josh?
to speak on this?
This is ridiculous.
Who here
Okay.
wanted this to happen?
Political.
5 yes, 2 no.
Move on.
Motion passes.
Ridiculous.
Item 69 is approving the appointment of Linda Main as our Chief Deputy City Clerk. Congratulations, Linda.
Absolutely. Second. Great choice.
7 yes.
Item 70 is amending the municipal code by enacting Chapter 61 relating to the vacant property registration ordinance. A is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waivers requested by Sue Ann Donovan, our Assistant Director of Neighborhood Services, requires 6 votes. B is approving and adopting administrative fees for the vacant property registration ordinance. Can we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I had some amendments. I don't know that
I think we have them.
do we have them? I didn't.
It's already on.
It's
yeah,
on.
it was on there.
It's on here.
I guess I did not.
They're not included in this, so you'll have to make a motion.
To
You can
Yeah,
show
why
the
don't you
amendments that
state them and make a motion? I saw them, Josh, but go
Are
ahead.
they in
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, they're
Is it on here, right here?
they're in. Yeah, those are the 3. There were 3 clarifications that that I moved to add.
Do you want to touch those real quick, can you?
Yes, if I may.
It's the full screen.
So the first one was in Part 61.3. I wanted to just make sure we clarified it was a broad grant of authority, and I wanted the context of that this was in the context of evidence of vacancy, not just the general authority. The second was in Section 61-8A, and I think that was more of a corrective. I think the way it was drafted, the intent was an exemption anytime a property had been listed or advertised for less than 180 days, the way it was drafted. And I want to make sure City Legal verifies this, but it was more than, so it wouldn't have kicked in until it sort of drafted in the exact opposite way. The third piece was dealing with just a clarification when there was a transfer of a vacant property and whether the new owner had to register if the new owner was going to occupy the property immediately. And I think there are some questions about what happens in certain instances that I have talked with Sue Ann about. We had a correspondence from someone addressing rental properties. I believe the 180-day exception addresses rental instances as well and can allow for a property owner to repair the property in between tenants. So we have those pieces addressed, but I wanted to make sure these pieces were added to the ordinance before it was enacted. So with that, I'm happy to move this. I don't know if we...
All right, Scott, did you want to make a quick comment?
To incorporate these changes.
To incorporate these changes into item 70.
And Josh, did that include that one on 61-12C, the unless the owner has plans to occupy the structure within 30 days?
Yes, it included that
Okay.
as well.
All right.
I second it.
Joshua, is that passing just the second reading?
A and B, right?
I'd like to give people another, I think we should have another reading just to let people take it with the amendments.
I'm okay to wait. I'm also okay, but I'll just do item 70.
Okay. Second.
And are we going to do B also,
I'll-
approving the
I'll move
fees?
A and
Well, you got to wait.
You
We
got
have
to
to-
wait
we have
until
to wait
after
till
this
the third
passes,
reading.
and then I'll move A and B
Okay,
after
all right.
that.
7
All right.
yes.
And then I'll move, Jeff, do I have to say 70 again, or do you just want me to say A and B?
Move 70. as
70.
amended.
What? I
Move
mean,
70 as amended would be fine.
Move 70 as amended with A and B.
Councilmember Shoemaker wants I'll pass on this one to allow
So-
for.
Okay. You
Unless-
just said you didn't care, so.
I don't, but I want to, if there's a council
I
member
understand.
requesting time.
I'll withdraw the motion. Let's move on.
We still need a motion to move 70 as amended.
Right.
Is that what Josh?
We already voted on that one, I thought.
Yes, we voted on 70 as amended.
Yeah, we voted 7, yes.
So we didn't do A, the final consideration,
Right.
and we didn't do the fees.
We didn't do B either then.
So we'll come back with that for another vote, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. 71, amending Chapter 114 of the Municipal Code regarding traffic regulation changes as follows. Council Communication Number 22-461. A is parking modification, remove parking on the east side of 6th Avenue between Locust Street and Grand Avenue and between Grand Avenue and High Street. B is a parking modification, extend parking restrictions on Chamberlain Avenue at 45th Street. C is one-way designation of St. John's Road between 35th Street and 34th Street. D is a parking modification change, parking restriction start time from 8 a.m. to 7 a.m. on Southeast 7th Street between Indianola Avenue and East Virginia Avenue. E is a code correction, update parking restriction to match field conditions on Southeast 22nd Street from King Avenue to East Virginia Avenue. And F is a code correction, update parking restriction to match field conditions on 41st Street from College Avenue to Germania Drive.
I'll move 71, A, B, C, D, E, F, and pursuant to Rule 41? 42A, I'll waive the second and
I'll second.
third reading.
Waive them all.
7 yes.
All right. 72 is amending section 58-55 relating to the Landmark Review Board. A is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by Aaron Olson Douglas, the Development Services Director, and requires 6 votes. Any comment, council, on this one?
Is this the one that includes Urban Design Review Board also? That it partners with them?
I think so.
Right. I'll move 72 and 72A.
All right, 72 and 72A has been moved and seconded.
7 yes.
73 is clarifying language as to the intent of ordinance number 16,166, which provides that general property taxes levied and collected each year on a portion of the property Oak Park, Highland Park, TIF District number 4, located within Oak Park, Highland Park urban renewal area, be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to, and indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued incurred by the City of Des Moines in connection with the urban renewal project for such portion of the urban renewal area. So, okay, 73 has been moved and seconded.
7 yes.
All right, quickly, we're going to jump into the request to speak. I will say that our first speaker, Harvey Harrison, called and has canceled. But for those wishing to speak this evening, under the public speaking item of the agenda, we will only be calling on those who have registered to speak. All speakers must comply with the rules regarding their names and addresses or will not be recognized. Each of the 8 speakers, 7 now, this evening will receive up to 2 minutes to make their comments. Please keep your own time because at the end of the 2 minutes, the clerk will announce time and the speaker's mic will be closed and we will move on immediately to the next speaker. We want to hear from our residents who have registered to speak, and we encourage residents to be respectful of others' viewpoints that are different from their own. Let's go ahead and get started. Our speaker, R.J. Miller.
I believe RJ was in overflow. There he is.
I'm sorry?
He's right there. He was in overflow. RJ, you got called.
RJ, you're up.
You just got called.
Up.
R.J., you're up.
R.J. Miller, Ward 1. So I've been campaigning. District 34 constituents are concerned with the property tax increases because it's creating difficulties for elders who are on a fixed income. They can't afford it, and it's forcing them to move out of their homes that they spent years paying on. And I'm still advocating for a community resource center near East High. The 4 Mile Center is not walkable from the East High, and the kids do not need to go out there because it's not an at-risk neighborhood. We need a center built in at-risk neighborhoods. And I took a tour to the Boys and Girls Club, and they agree with me that the East Side needs more resources and the city should invest more into its youth. And I'm also waiting on an update for the youth forum that you said that you would look into. And also, I would like to ask everybody on the council that's white, does Donald Trump speak for all white people? I'm looking at y'all. Can I get eye contact? Does Donald Trump speak for all white people? If the answer is no, then why do you think one black man speaks for all black people in the city of Des Moines? We are not stupid. We can think for ourselves, and we have our own ideals. So please respect the black community and stop looking at us like we are a monolith, because it's not right. Stop just working with your little silos, with your one organization that you're working with. Be willing to work with other groups of people, other programs, other organizations that are doing the work. If you truly want to see the city of Des Moines prosper and grow, work together, not just with one individual because you're lining his pockets or he's lining yours, whatever the case is. Do the right thing. If you're a leader, be a servant for the people. Your leadership is supposed to be an act of service. You are not served. So do what you need to do for the city of Des Moines or retire. Thank you for your time.
April Peterson.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is April Peterson. I'm not here representing any nonprofit, profit business, anyone at all but myself as a concerned citizen. I sent an email to all council members, city attorney, you, Mr. Mayor, city manager yesterday, so I know Ms. Westergaard got it because she replied. I don't know if anyone else has had the chance to read it. I know the Sunday before a city council meeting day, you probably have a lot of emails. But I would encourage you to take a look if you haven't. My email is concerning the homeless population in our city. The first city council meeting I ever watched was the last one, and it seems, in my opinion, we have two very fired up sides on this issue. Great, passion is good. On the one hand, obviously housing is always a problem for the homeless community. On the other hand, our businesses need to be able to thrive, their patrons need to feel safe, or, as Mr. Gatto said, we're not going to have the tax money to fund our housing. I would propose that a combined effort, what we call wraparound services, be considered. At the last city council meeting, the notion of a sober tank being built, great idea. However, people go in, they may sober up for a night. They don't get any real treatment. They go right back out. People may be placed in housing. We need to increase the housing. I mentioned JAPA. I mentioned the YMCA supportive housing. They're doing great things. I support those things. However, if you don't treat the underlying cause, if you don't give them somewhere to bridge that gap for people to get in their right minds, for people to get off drugs, to have their mental health and their trauma issues treated, even if they're placed in nice, safe housing, they may still fail. So I would hope you consider the suggestions and general comments in my email. Thank you, and I hope you all have a good evening.
Chris Robinson.
Hi, my name is Chris Robinson. I live in Ward 2. First, I want to thank the council for addressing some of our concerns, for taking steps to address them. For more than 4 years now, I've been part of CCI's racial justice team, working for a just and equitable system for all people living in Des Moines. As you know, transparency and trust go a long way. I hope that we can trust that you will continue to make progress on the third-party review of the Des Moines Police Department, prioritize public works recommendations provided to you in May, create a community review board that will provide community oversight over the Des Moines Police Department. I believe you have heard us considering the steps you have taken to move these issues forward. However, I do want to remind you that in November of 2020, the Marijuana Task Force provided you 7 recommendations which could help make marijuana a low-level priority for law enforcement. Volunteers gave their time and energy to put together these recommendations. By not addressing these recommendations, it can seem dismissive, and I hope that is not the case. We are fast approaching 2 years since these recommendations were provided to you, and we've not heard what steps the council has planned to take or going to take. It's good to start something, but completion is what matters in informing the community as equal as important. CCI's racial justice team will continue to attend council meetings, and we appreciate at the October 24th meeting, you will be having an update to the movement of these issues, keeping us informed and also information
All
transparent.
right, we need to move on to our next speaker.
But we must keep these issues ahead. And
Gabby Ruggiero. Is Gabby here?
My name is Gabby and I live in Ward 2. I'm a public health educator specializing in overdose prevention. Addiction is a chronic brain disease and a medical issue that requires continued care throughout somebody's lifespan. Often people who want to stop using substances can't do that safely because they don't have access to resources. Someone's basic needs need to be met in order for them to seek help for substance use disorders. Those basic needs include housing, shelter, and food. And people need help, not judgment, which includes community and connection. Recently, Iowa opened its first recovery community centers, one of them being here in Des Moines, called Full Circle. So if someone wants help with their recovery journey, that's a place they can go. And it's over by Franklin Junior High, and I recommend you all go and check it out since it's the first of its kind here in the state of Iowa. It's more important now than ever before to help our neighbors that are struggling with substance use disorders. Overdoses are happening at an unprecedented rate in our community, and in Polk County, overdoses almost doubled from 2018 to 2021. We all have a role in reducing overdose deaths in our community. We need to increase access to critical resources, but any community member that's interested in doing something can get free Narcan, the opioid overdose reversal drug. You can go to a community-based pharmacy and get this medication, or you can schedule a telehealth appointment. And if folks are interested in learning more about getting Narcan, they can go to naloxoneiowa.org. If folks are struggling with mental health or substance use problems and they need somebody to talk to, yourlifeiowa.org is a great resource to find treatment options near them. And I'd also like to say that Ms. Price isn't able to come. She's someone who has lived experience with addiction and homelessness and who's going to speak from that perspective. And I encourage the council to make sure that you're listening to folks that have addiction and are experiencing homelessness when we talk about these issues. Thank you.
We need to move on to our next speaker, Adam Callanan.
Hello, Adam Callanan, he, him pronouns, word 3. I would like to start off again reiterating that we need hybrid meetings with virtual participation. Meetings that not everyone can attend are not public. It's especially true during a pandemic. I know a lot of people in my life that could not come to these kind of meetings for COVID and other issues, not being able to attend these. And it's really upsetting and just unjust that people can't attend their own city council meetings or participate. It's also especially true today because we hit the capacity in this room, which is only around 40. From my understanding, that's been scaled back since pre-pandemic, even though other pandemic restrictions have been lifted. And yeah, again, there's that limit as well, that only 40 people can come. And if you are in the overflow, you have like a time delay. It's better to be at home than be in the overflow sometimes. I don't know if everybody understands that. I would also like to mention that today on the consent agenda, this is an estimate between, I think, 6 items, but there was actually around $1 million in funding for DMPD on that consent agenda that was approved. It's a huge amount of money to go through at once, and it's also weird that this and other issues are on the consent agenda without discussion when they are pretty clearly controversial and not routine. The consent agenda is intended for routine, non-controversial items. This is broken constantly, and almost every council member, maybe every council member, has pulled some things off that they do think are worth discussing. So we know that the city is not appropriately putting things on the consent agenda and is putting things there that should not be there. Thank you.
Wanda Price.
She's not here.
Yep, and he said Wanda was not going to be here this evening. Nadine Adele.
I have a copy of my presentation for everybody. Can I pass that out? And I also had...
Move to receive and file, Mr. Mayor.
All right. We have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none?
I
Why
also...
don't you pass them to her and she can do it? So I don't want you to lose your time here.
Sure, oh, it's my time, oh. Okay, so sorry. Here, why don't I just
Let's
give-
not have her time running while she's passing
Here's a
stuff
packet
out.
for
though.
everybody. The whole thing.
She's not being.
Here. Yeah, I'll just give it to you. Okay, very good. We'll get it through. We'll get through. Well, while that's happening, what I'm going to do very quickly. My name is Nadine Adele. I live at 4315 Shoreline Drive in Pleasant Hill, but I'm a party of interest because our property butts right up to the property of 42 acres that is related to Agenda 22. I'm going to
I'm sorry, did you say you live in Pleasant Hill?
I do.
Okay.
I do, and we're a party of interest, sir.
Yep. No, I understand.
So-
I just wanted to make sure I heard you right.
We live right on the lake, on the North Lake. We've been there for 21 years, so we're one of the few historians in that area, and we know exactly what's going on. We know exactly what's going on with crime, trespassers, and flooding, which is the main issue that I'm going to bring to your attention. What I'll quickly do here, and then I'll circle back to my presentation that I just passed out to you. I also, let me back up, I also sent you an email today with Packet A and Packet B, just so that you can have that in reference, because I'll probably bring that up. This is the issue. The applicant that is requesting this rezoning has not followed City Code 134-6.1.6. Letters were not, and I'm just going to summarize this here. Letters were not sent out completely. Meetings were not were not held according to the code. Objections and concerns were not addressed. Presentations to the P&Z was deficient and didn't even include our objections. At the P&C meeting, all we had asked was go ahead and pause here, go back and ask the applicant to abide by the code, and then we'll move forward. There was a lot of discussion about the deficiency, and many of the commissioners agreed we need more meetings. The applicant himself did agree to have more meetings, and that is compliant with Code 134 1.6 or 6.1.12. So it was kind of surprising if the applicant was agreeing to hold more meetings, why this was moved and affirmed to go to council. So let me loop back here. And we did have one commissioner who was against the vote. At any rate, what we'd really like to do is having me, one final thing, please. I just got an email today confirming that the Edgewater Townhome Association, which I'm a member of, never received a letter from the applicant for a meeting and never received a city notice saying there's a P&Z meeting coming up. That was just confirmed today.
Okay, Ms. Manager, so noted. Would you check into that, please? Thank you for your presentation. We've got your stuff. Could we have a motion to receive and file the comments?
I'll make a motion to receive and file 74 A through H.
Okay. Carl?
7 yes.
All right. I want to thank our members of our city and our residents and businesses for coming to this meeting this evening. With that final note, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.